got it. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Nerdy Up North podcast. It's a nerdy podcast hosted by two Northern nerds. I'm one of your hosts, Sam.
And I'm the host, Paul. And we're joined by the just practically part of the team now. Just
team pod. Whoa, that's me. Sorry.
She's part of the team, and like I say, now she's pretty much getting amongst it, and she seems to be really enjoying it with the lovely Charlotte.
Charlotte and Nicola.
How's everyone today? Is everyone all right?
Absolutely delusional. I need this today. I need some form of therapy today, and this is just perfect. If you don't know, this week's episode is all about the wizarding world of Harry Potter.
I was wondering when the sound effects was going to come into it. That's the copyright claim out the window straight away. There.
Oh, it's Warner Brothers. There was no chance you were getting anything past Warner Brothers. The minute they see Harry Potter or Wizarding World or Fantastic Beasts, you're done for.
Yes. So we are taking it to Harry Potter, and again, very excited. Like I say, Harry Potter is a big part of me, like I say, me not growing up, because I was probably like I say a grown up when Harry Potter come out, but probably as an adult, like taking us back to me, like feeling like a child again, which hope makes sense. But I know, like strangely, it wasn't just generally anyone. It was my dad that got us into Harry Potter as well. So it's a bit of a connection there. So yes, so Harry Potter does have a special place in my heart there. So before we do get into it and get really into the discussion, Sam's got a disclaimer because I would know this has become a bit of a controversial subject, shall we say, as of late.
Hasn't it just? And I thought I always do a disclaimer, and I always end up saying it backwards to what I've actually wrote down. But today I'm going to read verbatim what I've said. So before we get into this roundtable discussion, it's important to say that this talk will only be about the wizarding world of Harry Potter. We will not be discussing the views and opinions of the author and creator. We have separated it from the talk, and we hope that you can do the same. All the opinions brought up tonight are ours and ours alone, and if you don't like them, then that's fine. Just come and join us on the Facebook group or in the comments, but please don't come for us. Let's be kind, keep it fun, and keep the toxic behaviour out of nerdism. And with that being said, let's get into this week's episode of Harry Potter.
Yes. So, again, I know we've touched on Harry Potter in the charity podcast. If you were listening when we did that, it was during the child authors and talking about books that's kind of like transcended or created like a wonderful world. With the lovely Jules who brought that topic up, and we did have a little bit. Well, we probably spent a little bit of time discussing it, but could have spent a lot more, which is why this is coming about. So I'm interested to know, because I know, like I say, our resident book nerd, Charlotte, who is in charge of the book club at the moment. How did you first get into Harry Potter? Like, what was your first experiences, and like? Just like say, what do you like about it?
Well, I was in year 6, I think, when the first book came out, and all my friends were reading it. They were like raving about it, and I tried reading it as like my book to take home from school to read and stuff, and I couldn't get into it. It wasn't until a year or two later, I saw the first film. And I really liked the film.
Yeah.
Picked up the books again and couldn't put them down.
Mm-hmm.
Could not put them down. And then so I kind of read the books at the same time as the films.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I caught up with the books quicker than the films came out. So I sort of finished the books before the last film, and that came out. And I remember my 18th birthday, I mentioned it in the group, my 18th birthday party was the day the last book came out.
Right.
And we got to the party, and the first thing we did was me, my sister, and 3 other friends. First thing we did was sit down and look at the back page of the last book to see if he died.
No.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the people going about in the bookstore line? Because apparently the book got leaked online. I think it was about a few weeks before it actually released date. I think it was in America rather than ours. And they were going in people in the queue and like telling big spoilers for the last book, and people were going mental. So I can still remember the news articles because people were actually fighting outside of Harry Potter bookstores, dressed as Harry Potter, dressed as Dumbledore, dressed as Dobby, throwing big swinging punches at people.
Nerd fight.
Yeah.
If somebody had spoiled it for me, they would have got punched.
My God. Well,
yeah.
I'm going to jump straight into, because I'm intrigued to know, and this is always my first question whenever I ask anyone when you're a Harry Potter fan, what house do you associate yourself with?
I don't know. It's a hard one.
What?
I've never really looked at it in that depth when it comes to the houses. I've kind of just went through and enjoyed it. I know everyone, like Gryffindor, is the more popular one because it's like say the more heroes and stuff like that. But it seems like if I chose Gryffindor, it would be like me choosing Manchester United when I was a kid, like picking your favorite the team that wins everything.
That's such a boy response, isn't it? Such a boy response. Charlotte, please tell me you have something better than that.
Jesus.
Mine's pretty obvious, I think.
Slytherin.
No.
I was going to say the dark side there. I was going to say poor Kev probably gets beaten, bless him.
Hufflepuff.
Kev's Hufflepuff, surprisingly.
Mm-hmm.
Ravenclaw.
For the books, reading.
The books, of course. And Hufflepuff. I am and will always be Slytherin.
Yeah. The goth in you there.
It really is, but also it is also my old school had the same kind of housing system, and they're all colours as well, and they're the colours of Harry Potter. And I was in Sandcroft because it's all related to Horton, where I'm from. I was in Sandcroft. Davenport was red. That was like the Gryffindor. Everyone wanted to be in Davenport. I was more than happy to be in green Sandcroft. And that's why I completely gravitate towards Slytherin. Also Snape and the Malfoys, and there's some cool houses, some cool families in there. Like,
to be fair, I'd have probably been kicked out, so they probably wouldn't even give us a house name. Like say with my little bit of a background, shall we say, I wasn't the most academic, shall we say, but yeah.
So the sorting hat sits on your head and just goes, nah.
No.
No, probably just move us into Hagrid's shed. That would the thing. I'd sit there with Hagrid all the time.
That's a cool job.
Oh, but that would have been the best place though, like all the animals.
Yeah, exactly. I think that will be me. Like I say, with actually, sorry to totally go off tangent already and Sam's. Just want to give a big shout out to everyone who helped with the charity podcast as well. Today, the money was donated. I handed over the £560 to the. I can't even think of the name now. My brain's to the Willows cat charity. I went in and seen the woman who organised it, who's been running the Willows for 50 years. She was called Marie, bless her, she was lovely. And she introduced us to 2 cats today as well. One old ginger cat who was lovely, and a little feisty kitten. But she said the money that we raised pretty much is going to be paying for all the cat vet bills in the shelters for at least a month. So
that's amazing.
So that's something that we've done there. And I should have said that at the start, so that's my fault there. So
no, that's fine. No, that's fine. It's cats go with Harry Potter, I guess.
Yeah.
Crookshanks,
the ugliest cat in the world.
Shut up.
Oh, he's gorgeous.
Shut up. He's absolutely beautiful. He's stunning. I know that Charlotte's touched on her gateway into Pottermore. What was yours, Paul?
A pirate video.
Excellent.
Same.
Probably, I know it's going to sound a bit dodgy, but it's not. Sitting in my room with one of my ex-girlfriends. It's called Sarah Richardson, I believe. Sorry.
If she's watching.
and she was always like into the books and stuff like that. And my dad brought it in from work, like say from being a postie. I think someone picked it up at CM car boot sale. Old VHS, not DVDs. So we popped it in, and it was a cam, so you saw people walking in front of the screen, and it was like if every moving, when every time probably someone couldn't see what you were doing. But yeah, I watched it, and like I say, the characters. Again, the first film is always strange because it is quite kiddified, but it was quite nice, and like I said, it delved into like an area that I was always interested in, the mythology and stuff, and it was quite a good little gateway. And then after I watched that, I picked up the books, and I literally read the books and bought them on release date, because when they start coming out, because I was traveling down to Manchester like pretty much all the time. So I read them on my journey back and forth from Manchester. So that was always my little entry into the world of Harry Potter.
So I've just had a memory flashback when you were talking about going down to Manchester. I actually had Stephen Fry read me the books.
Ah, right.
There was a period of time at work where I didn't call handle, and I was literally doing data entry from putting 5 numbers into a machine, into a computer, and doing that continuously for 8 hours a day. So Anth got us, it was very early on in the iPod days, and Anth managed to sneakily download the books onto my iPod.
Just to point out as well, us Northerners aren't all dodgy. Like I say, we don't always we do actually pay for content as well. It's just sometimes it's easier there. So
yes, exactly. And he got us the it's like twice now we've mentioned pirate copies. We're proper scumbags. So yeah. He got us them, and I had Stephen Fry read them to us, but honestly I cannot remember any of it, like not 1 inch of it. And I've asked for the books for Christmas, because like I said before we came on here, I am literally riding this Harry Potter train at the moment. Like I am on it. I went to Edinburgh recently with Carolyn. I went to go to that Edinburgh convention, the comic convention. It got cancelled, but we decided just to go up anyway. And honestly, it was an absolute awakening. Like I saw, like everything's all very Harry Potter themed. Like she wrote the last book in a calf that's there.
It was the elephant calf that
burnt down.
Yeah.
We walked past it. I've got photographs of it, and the smell's still there. The burning smell. It was so sad. And then we walked to the graveyard where the majority of the cast is inspired from. Like I stood in front of Tom Riddle's grave, and McGonagall, who, right? So Professor McGonagall is amazing, brilliant character. The name is taken from a poet who was deemed the worst poet ever.
To be fair though, I think they just went through the names and thought these names sound magical.
Definitely. Must have, because she didn't do her research on that one. She saw Potter. I think there's a couple of others there as well. It's fantastic, honestly, but it just awakened something in us. Like I went to every Harry Potter store. I bought me Harry Potter cup. I've got me own Slytherin badge that's on the fridge that I got from platform 9 3/4. So I bought the Hufflepuff one to go with it. So we had like our houses on the fridge, and I'm that person. And so like total awakening. But my first experience is in the cinema,
right,
with my sister on her very first date with her very first boyfriend.
That's a bit uncomfortable, really.
Absolutely awkward. But it's amazing. The first one, I still love it. I know the kids annoy the crap out of us, and I think they do for everyone, because the little kids
they get better. I think they were definitely they were definitely cast for the looks, and like say what and how they looked and everything like that. But like if we're talking about places where we visited, like to experience the Harry Potter, I've been to 1 or 2, to be honest with you. The one in Durham, scene where like scenes that was filmed in Durham Cathedral is always amazing. York's always a good one, but nothing will ever beat the 2 places I was like. I'll start with the good one, which was went to Harry Potter World in Harry Potter Studios, down in Watford, London. It shows you how it was made, and you see all the different scenes. You see the Ministry of Magic, and like everything's just done. It's crazy because it's just done in sections. So you think of these big buildings, but it's literally these sections. That was a good experience, and one I enjoyed, and I would always recommend anyone who loves Harry Potter to do. And even if it's just like a stop on a tour and stuff, it's quite cool to see, because before you go in, you see the little cupboard where Harry lived before you, like say when he was at the Dursleys. But the best one in Florida, Harry Potter's worlds. I've done both, the one at Islands of Adventure and the one at Universal Studios, where the Hogwarts Express.
Don't they lead into each other?
Yeah,
it's
but
that big.
Yeah, because they built the new part a little bit later. Yeah. So the Harry Potter where you go down diagonally and go to like say Honeydukes and like the Three Horseshoes and stuff like that, and you lead up to the Hogwarts is the main ride. But they created the other side where it's got Gringotts Back, and that Great Escape, and it's got the dragon on the building that blows fire that actually does singe you, like you feel the heat. But the thing that makes it a little bit magical as well, because it's two parks, really you've got to have 2 tickets to do it. But if you've got the ticket that takes you to both parks, you can get on the Hogwarts Express. So you go in the station, you see all the places like say on the boards. It's like London's King's Cross. You show your park tickets, you walk through, and then you sit in the train, and you think, and then the blinds come down, and it's like a cinema. Like the windows are like cinema screens. Yeah. But they're done, but you can't notice, so they start freezing up. And the Dementor's shadow. And then on the window on your side, the chocolate frogs jumping on the window, and you've seen it climbing up the window. And it takes about 15 minutes just for the performance. And when you stop, you're in the other park at
that's brilliant.
Yeah, so that was worth it. Yeah, that was worth any type of moment. Like I said, just being into it. But like you think, America takes it to the 9th degree. Like we would never take it that far. Like if we like Alton Towers and stuff, it's good, but they recreate everything. Like the post room, when you go into the post room, like if you look in the rafters, there's owls. There's owls like and the move because the animatronic. So and they've covered it in like white paint, so it looks like owl poo. Yeah. And then they've got the animatronic book, like the Book of Monsters. So it's in a cage. And if it just looks, it's sitting there like breathing, so you think it's asleep. I think that's it. If you get too close, it rushes the cage at you. Oh my god, I'd absolutely would.
I've watched hundreds of videos on it. It will never beat seeing it with your own eyes. I'm going to see it. When am I 40? When am I 40? Not this
2 years.
2 years time. I'm going to Los Angeles with Carolyn. And that's one of the place. There's a couple of things I want to do because Los Angeles is like my bucket list. And Harry Potter is definitely going to be one of them. You'll probably be able to hear us cry from there when I get in there, because I'm going to be hysterical.
Well, have you heard the stories about Ollivanders as well in Florida? Because you queue to go in, you pay for your wand because you buy a wand, but it doesn't. You don't just go in and buy a wand. You wait in the queue.
Like a full experience.
You go in the shop by yourself. All the lights flash, and the wand comes out for you.
Oh my god!
and then once you've got the wand, it's got a sensor on, so you can walk around the park.
Is that what's in?
And you wave at different things, and like the cauldrons move, and the things across the windows, like all the shops, like it all interacts with it as well.
Oh my god, I cannot honestly. I'll just cry the whole time I'm there. Like it'll be an absolute emotional wreck.
But and I have to say though, Butterbeer is the worst thing I've ever tasted in my life.
Carolyn says it's a bit questionable.
It does taste of American cream soda.
But nah.
See, I've got a recipe for Butterbeer Fudge that's amazing. I've made it so many. I've made it so many times. Like it's amazing.
Yeah.
I'd probably be quite disappointed with the American one though.
Yeah, because they sell two things like when you're in the thing, because they've got like all, because you within Florida you have to drink all the time. So they've got the butterbeer, so you got like an iced cup that you can get it in, or the pumpkin juice. And pumpkin juice sounded awful, so I was going nowhere near that shit. But the butterbeer thought, oh, I'll give it a try, but it just tastes like American cream soda.
No.
But you feel so sorry for the people over there, because I know, like I say, the cast and stuff, but they're dressed in full Harry Potter robes.
Yeah, in
In the
Florida
heat.
weather. Oh, the poor buggers. I always felt sorry for the people at Anik who walked around all day in Harry Potter robes, and that's Anik.
Yeah, but that's like cold. I'll take a robe, but in Florida. But yeah, in Florida they wear the full garbs and everything.
In York, the shop that must not be named.
Mm-hmm.
When you apply for the job, you've got to, one of the requirements is you've got to tell them what house you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And you're either assigned a character and you're given their costume as your uniform, or you get like your house uniform as your uniform to work
How do
there.
I apply? I'm looking for a career change.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a commute.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Again, talking about Florida as well, did you ever speak to any of the people who worked in the Disney parks and ask them how they got the jobs there as well?
I have to go first, Paul, in order to do
No,
that.
not the Harry Potter ones, like just like in general park, the people who's not dressed up.
I've heard stories. I've not asked anybody directly.
Because when we did, because we were like talking to them, because there was a British girl there, and basically, if you work in a Disney store for over 10 years, like what they did, they give you an option to work in the Florida park for a year, where you didn't really get paid, but you got like free room and board.
Yeah.
And you got to work in the Disney park for a year.
Well, you can't do that now because the Disney stores are gone.
Yeah, I don't know how true that was, but that's what they told. That's what they told us. Like, because we were like saying, "Oh, what are you doing through here?" But that's what they said. But I wonder if it was same with like the Harry Potter world and stuff. Because I know the Florida park's full of all the failed actors and actresses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is the Harry Potter world full of like Americans with really bad English accents?
I was just going to ask the same thing. I was going to ask the same question.
No, but I tell you what, I did find amusing. When it comes to the Christmas time and you get the choir that sings like Bubble, Toil
and Travel. Yeah.
They have a live choir singing that near the Hogwarts Castle.
With the frog, don't they?
Yeah, the frog.
Yeah,
the toad on a bit of a thing. But they do it in the 9th degree. Even when you walk, like waiting in the queues, when you're waiting to go on the Hogwarts Ride, where that's the big one. Mm-hmm. You get to walk around Hogwarts. You see, the classrooms. You see Dumbledore's office. You walk through the garden to initially things, so you see all the Mandarin being pulled out. But it's just an experience. Like we went in September time, and again, I'm probably going to get in trouble for this. We always used to fly around September 11th because it was cheaper.
Never even thought that was an option. I would do the same.
Yeah.
Plus, America flights aren't cheap.
Yeah, so we used to get the flights a little bit cheaper around about that time. But so there was no queues because it was hurricane season as well. So
didn't you get stuck in a hurricane over there?
That was on the honeymoon, yeah. So
yes, I remember that. I'm not laughing at it now. Like it's not funny.
Of course, we laugh about it now, but at the time we had to do 3 parks in one day, otherwise we were going to miss. So we've done and when you walk around one park, you're walking 10 miles. So we've done about 30 miles of walking that day.
I remember messaging either you or Nick at the time because you were holed up in your hotel, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
Like I genuinely feel sorry for you, but at the same time, I'm kind of jealous because you get to watch American TV and American adverts are amazing. I love them. So.
I talked about the hurricane. Sorry to get sidetracked. It was hilarious because all the American news get killed. If you're seen on the streets, you'll get shot or you'll get arrested by the police.
Nice.
And the weather we had a few nights ago, and that was worse than the hurricane. Like literally there was a bit of a wind. I know probably in some areas it was worse, but the way they went on, like they shut the Disney parks down and everything. But the next day, they closed all the bars, so we only had like us and the British and the Scottish, English and Scottish people walking up and down the street.
Because it did not give them monkeys.
Because they were like, well, it's not that bad. So all these bars and stuff were just trying to get the staff back in to open up for us because like they thought no one was going to be there. But yeah, it was an experience. But sorry.
No, it's class. It's class stories. Right. I'm going to get into the nitty gritty now. Nitty gritty. Who is your favourite character? You can only have one.
Oh.
Just one. And it's very hard because there's a lot of amazing people in there. But favourite character?
Favourite character in the book was probably Remus.
Remus. Yeah, same in the book.
Yeah,
In the book. Actually, in the books, my favourite character was Ginny.
Ginny.
I have heard amazing things about her from book series wise. Like they say like in the movies, she has nothing in comparison.
Oh no!
In the books. I can't wait. I can't wait to meet her.
In the later books, especially, she's like say a little firecracker. But probably in the movies, I would again because I always got a soft for the actor. Probably Sirius. Sirius. Gary Oldman and Sirius was done perfectly. He was just like he was in the book as well. But I always have a soft spot for Remus. Like say, he was always so kind to Harry in the books, and he kind of give the connection between Harry and his father as well, and that was like quite a special moment. Sorry.
I think if they had have written if Remus had been in the films like he was in the books, I still think David Thewlis was absolutely perfect.
Perfect, yeah.
I can't compare, like I can't do the comparison that you can, but I just think as an actor, the man's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant, and what he brought as a movie side of it, I thoroughly enjoyed and would have loved to see more. I'd have loved to see his relationship more with Tonks.
Yeah,
that is very. It was nothing really like that whole. We have an announcement, not now. There you go. That's a done and just. It's not because I've heard their relationship is
heartbreaking
amazing.
in the books. It's heartbreaking in the books, and it's really glossed over in the films.
Yeah, that was one of my favourite parts in the books as well. Like, especially the last book. I know. Again, we'll get onto it a bit more when we talk about like the films and like what worked, what didn't work and such. But them characters didn't quite get the justice or like the limelight they did. But it's impossible to do that from like say what the book's like. I'm guessing that I can guess Sam's was probably either Malfoy or Snape.
Snape.
Always.
No, I just I don't have what yous have when I can compare, but you know what, the more yous talk about it, the more I'm getting so excited to read these books. You're not the only ones. Like my friend Amy, who is a huge Harry Potter fan, like her cats are called Fred and George, the two ginger cats. Fred and George, like huge Harry Potter fan, and she read the books and she was like, Sam, wait until you meet Ginny.
Yeah.
Wait until you read the male Ginny, because you are going to absolutely love her. She was like, I can't wait until you read the Half-Blood Prince. I can't wait until you do this. And she's like getting this so amped up. So you're like elevating that ampness. Hey, Diner. But yeah, Snape always. The character is so complex.
Even more so in the books.
Yeah,
like 100%. He really is.
Yeah, you fall in love with Snape so much more.
What's the difference in Snape to books? Like book to movie? Is there much difference, or is it's just elevated higher?
I think he's a bit more amplified in the books. Like
I think Alan Rickman, but letting Alan Rickman be. Let's let go with it, because he always felt a little bit constrained in the films. It was always felt like it was like held back a little bit, but in the there's certain ones where you just feel pure rage and anger from Alan Rickman when it comes to especially with his interactions with Harry. So you always knew he was going to be playing, as we got with the films, he was going to play a huge part, and that was always going to be the big reveal, like the Snape aspect. But at times it pulls you all over this because you hate him, you love him.
You sympathise with him more in the books, I think.
Certainly. But again, two of the characters you mentioned before as well get a better treatment in the book as well. The twins.
Fred and George.
They get so much more. And absolutely their turning point. Like I know in the movie when you see it, when they leave school, in the books, you cry while laughing. You absolutely, honestly, it's one of the best experiences reading that was when they left.
Absolute chaos in the books. Like it's quite tame in the film compared to the books.
So that exit scene that they make is just blown up.
chaos. Like
Yeah.
that.
Oh wow.
I think in the films they're not as like they don't cause as much trouble as they do in the books.
No, they're not as
naughty
flamboyant
as they are in
Yeah,
the books, are they?
Yeah, no, they're kind of like just background or like say side characters, but in the books they're very much at the forefront, and anything that's going on, like naughty, like especially with Peeves, like say Peeves was even cut out of the book completely. Like the only real ghost they used was Nearly Headless Nick, but Peeves and Nearly Headless Nick kind of bounced off each other and caused so much shit. Like Peeves would have been perfect as Rick Mail. That would have.
Well, they filmed the scenes. They filmed the scenes and they cut them.
All right.
With Rick Mail playing this character.
There's interviews on. It might be on YouTube, but if you just look Rick Mail Peeves interview, there's interviews of him talking about when he was on set filming the scenes, and he was making the kids laugh that much. They had to cut them because they couldn't get them. So they just cut it completely.
Oh,
but you can watch him talking about it.
That's such a shame.
Yeah.
If I can go back to Snape for just a minute, because I've got so many questions. That end scene where you find out the truth that who Snape really is, and you know the hero that he is. How is that in the books? Does the movie do that scene just because I can imagine that's a huge part of this last part of this book is finding out the man that Harry's always thought is against him was the one who was probably the only one who was rooting for and like you know helping him.
Yeah,
is that like that in the books?
Kind of, but my big problem with the last two films, the pacing was completely off compared to what the book was. Like the book's a big book, and it because the first half of the first film of the Deathly Hallows, part 1, is like a snail's pace. It just takes so long to get going. But then in the second half, they kind of rush everything.
Yeah.
And they don't do that in the book. It's not one of the easy, like Harry Potter to read normally is easy and it normally flows. The last book isn't an easy read. It's more of a difficult one because it's tying up so many loose ends.
Yeah.
And it's taking you all over the place. Again, I probably thought the book could have been, I know what they were trying to do, but probably could have been in 2 parts or moved it along a bit. But they kind of hit that part well with the Snape bit. It hit all the right parts, but you've had all the emotional thing for the last 2 books before this, where you get Snape's turning point and you start to get more information and you find out about Snape's relationship with Harry's father and why there was that ambiguity. But in the film, it does do it justice, but you don't get the impact as you would when you've read the books, if that makes sense.
Right. I think
you. But the problem was by the time they got to the last 2 films, which was the last book, there was things that they'd left out of the previous that they couldn't put into the last 2 films that didn't sort of flow quite, because I mean there was the whole thing in the 3rd one with the Marauders, which they predominantly left out of the film that comes back later on, and there was things sort of that in the last book that you would go back to, whereas they couldn't do that in the films. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think as far as books goes, I think Paul's right, they are quite easy to read. The only 2 I struggled with was the 5th one and the last one.
Is the 5th one Goblet of Fire? Sorry, I just want to...
Order of the Phoenix.
Order of the Phoenix, yeah.
For me, Order of the Phoenix,
this was the weakest one.
It's the longest book, and it is the weakest one. There's a lot in there that you could miss out, and it wouldn't make any difference to the story at all.
Oh.
So
don't say that. I've got to read them.
No, it's still don't get us wrong. It's still good. It's probably the weakest of the.
Yeah. No, there's always a Achilles heel, really, isn't there? I genuinely thought that would be the second one because Chamber of Secrets movie just bores their pants off me.
It's difficult because like with everything, there's the flow points, but at that time, like especially the first 2 books, it was still very much in kid territory.
Yeah.
And then it realised that it was getting a more adult audience, and then it gets darker, and we'll get, like I say, some more of the elements that you think. Because at the time, the first 2 books, it was more, like I say, they go into Quidditch a lot more. There's a lot more this like the Weasleys have like the family through the books have more interaction. Like you hate him in the films, but you absolutely detest him in the books, like Percy.
I've heard Percy is. I'm sorry for any parents who are watching, but dick. Like I've heard he's a massive dick.
Yeah. Bill as well. Bill has a much bigger story in the books.
I've heard.
Much bigger story.
And he's a lovely.
Dragons play a big part.
Yeah, but Bill's a lovely character as well.
Yeah.
But even little characters that you see in the film, like sideways, like Hagrid's brother,
Grow up.
He has a bigger part in the books as well.
Yeah.
And he plays a part, like quite a big one in the big battle, and it's interesting when he comes through.
The house elves.
The house elves, yeah. Like I said, that was one of my biggest disappointments. You don't get to see underneath the workings of Hogwarts because sorry, this is going to be a massive spoiler for you because Dobby isn't the only house elf in Hogwarts.
I had a feeling. I'm honestly, you can't spoil this for us at all because I know that whatever you say, there's always going to be another detail that you've missed out because you can't cover everything. I've tried to do the YouTube videos of watching about everything and you just can't take it all in. So I'm really looking forward. I've never been so excited to read a book series that has been out for freaking years.
Again, the first film introduced a character that plays a huge part in the later books, but you don't hear from again. I can't remember his name. The Centaur.
Friends.
Do you meet him with Umbridge in the movies? That is when she they take her in the forest.
Yes, he's in the first film very briefly, and then they're in the Umbridge. I don't remember. It's fifth film with Umbridge.
Order of the Phoenix. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the fifth film with Umbridge very briefly. But in the books, in all 7 of the books, there's a massive storyline that's like revolves around
Centaur family.
Well, he's a teacher. He becomes a teacher.
He's a teacher.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He takes over from.
Why wouldn't you put that in the film?
Yeah, he takes over from Trelawney, Emma Thompson's character. Yeah. He starts talking about this because he does divination, but he tells about the stars and teaches Harry and Hermione about the stars and everything like that.
I think the thinking behind missing the centaurs out of the film was in the books there's a lot of Umbridge hates them because they're half breeds.
That makes sense,
and that that sort of leads into a few more real life issues that maybe they didn't want to get mixed up in.
Well, that's going to lead me, saying that name is going to lead me lovely into my next question. Is who is your least favorite character?
What do you mean? The one that I hate, but meant to hate, or the one that I just thought was dull and boring? No,
not dull and boring, because I could then go on an absolute tirade of abuse of Emma Watson and how awful she is as an actress. And I don't want. No, don't bless her. That portrayal of Hermione Granger is awful.
I'm 100% with you on that one, Sam. I can't stand her.
He is awful.
Hated her. Couldn't stand her as well.
Nah. I was shocked I tolerated her.
She was.
It's Legardian Leviosa.
She wasn't how I imagined Hermione. Like Hermione for me is quite different in the books.
Oh well, I'm pleased you said that because
that's
I don't want to take her with us.
No, that's not how I.
I'm really pleased you said that because I don't want to take her with me. I'm sorry, but that was awful, and she sets my teeth on edge every time she talks. Every look that she gives to Ron is just. It's weird. It's awkward. It's just unnecessary. So no, I'm not going to refer to the people that you don't like as an actor. I want to talk about actual characters. Like, who do you absolutely like as a book reader, as a movie watcher? Like, who do you absolutely hate?
Probably
not hate, dislike.
There was probably. It's hard one because there's a few I absolutely couldn't stand. That Dolores Umbridge was up there.
Umbridge got under my skin so badly.
To the point where I felt a bit sick because it made us that angry. Even watching or reading it, like the film-wise, got her spot on. Everything you wanted.
Imelda Staunton's going to smash.
She was amazing.
Yeah.
Like there's genuinely
Sorry.
points in the book where you're reading it and you get so angry you
You
just
shut
want to
the-
throw the book.
Yeah, you close the book down and say, I'm not going to try that again.
You're just like, no, right, breathe, start again.
Amazing.
Wormtail,
Yeah.
like I say, in the book especially, is absolutely slimy and again
vile.
it does it well. He's well in the film, but in the book it makes you angry what his turning point. You start to feel sorry for him for a bit, but then later on, no.
Yeah, I mean, I can't obviously, and I probably say this quite a lot through this, I can't obviously talk about the book side, but in the movies, he never got me to turn for him. I knew what he did, and I knew that he meant it, and that he would do it again, and he's very selfish, and no, I did not like that aspect of him. Umbridge is probably the one I dislike the most. I used to really not like the what's the guy called he plays Walder Frey in Game of Thrones. Brilliant actor.
Filch.
Thanks.
Filch.
With his cat.
Yes, didn't like him to start with. Loved him by the end of the movies.
Yeah.
Thought he was realized he is for Hogwarts. Like
there's a massive story arc revolving him in the books that is left out of the movies. That
explains such a shame. That
it
such an amazing actor for
why he is the way he is, isn't it?
And again, probably in the books, he wasn't. He was mentioned in the movie, but we didn't really have a big. Was Greyback, the werewolf?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Werewolf.
So he's in the last 3 films.
Kinda.
Last 3.
I think it was the last 2 he was in.
He's a Depp, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Big guy.
Yeah.
Kind of wolf-like, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Know who you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. There's a massive. He's a massive part of Remus's and Bill's story arc.
Yeah.
Bill.
Massive.
Weasley.
Yeah. Massive.
Yeah.
Massive.
When he gets attacked, yeah.
It's kind of glossed over in the film at the end, in the last one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not even touched on, but just let's shall we say the books, Bill starts to take a bit more, he's take a bit rarer. So.
Yes.
Do you know what? I feel like I know that, but I kind of got a bit of a shock when you said it. Wow.
Yeah.
Is that when they're in, in the last film, not the first part where they're all doing the Harry Potter change? They're all changing
in the cottage.
And does he kind of like bring it just a little? Yeah. I didn't miss it then.
I think Fleur mentions it briefly when they're in the cottage just after Dobby dies. Fleur mentions it briefly in the film.
Right.
But there's much more to it in the books.
Yeah.
Wow.
As far as characters who I really couldn't like, I think Barty Crouch Jr. really was one in the book especially.
Yeah. Because he's the reason why Mad Eye Moody died as well, so isn't it? Yeah.
He's not as big a part in the film.
I really hated how Tennant played him though.
I've got the wrong person. Sorry, Barty. Yes, in the book he was
Barty Crouch Jr. I hated how David Tennant played him. Like it's like he read the word. He's a bit psychotic, and he'll put that on his face constantly. It was too much.
It really surprised me because I didn't. When I first watched it, I didn't mind how he played him, and then the more we watched it the other day, and he wasn't the worst, but he wasn't the best, which really surprised us because David Tennant was so good as Kilgrave in Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
Yes.
He makes a really good bad guy.
Could not agree with you more.
Didn't quite get that one.
Do you know what it is? It's like he says, read a character description. Your character's a bit psychotic. He's a bit mad. He's a bit crazy. Oh, how do I play that? I'll just constantly chatter my lips and lick them constantly. That's how psychos work, isn't it? It's forced. It's a forced crazy that he doesn't do in Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones, he does crazy, cool as a cucumber.
Yeah.
It's almost like you watch Helena Bonham Carter and went, I need to beat that.
Yeah, because
I love Helena Bonham Carter as Bellatrix.
It's not a character you cannot dislike her. Because of how brilliant she portrayed that character.
She was
and her little fight at the end with
Molly
Molly.
Weasley.
Molly Weasley.
It gives us chills just thinking about it.
Brilliant.
Don't you, like I say, when she gets, stay away from my daughter, you bitch.
It's almost like that alien moment,
Yeah.
you know, where Sigourney Weaver screams at the
Yeah.
alien. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost like that. I absolutely adore that scene. I get chills like thinking about it because I love the fact that Molly Weasley came out on top.
Yeah.
Of all the people.
To be
it was
honest,
her.
it's not surprising when you read the book.
Is
Yeah.
she meant?
Oh,
she's
she's like
amazing in the book.
Super mum.
Oh,
Yeah. She, like, you think she runs the family of the Weasleys there.
mhm.
In the book, she not only runs the family, she runs the Order of the Phoenix.
Order of
she
the
runs
Phoenix.
Minister Magic. She just controls anyone.
Oh,
Yes.
Anyone that says anything to her, she just turns them. And like honestly, she is one of the most loving, caring. But honestly, I would be scared of, terrified of her so badly.
Oh, I'm really pleased about that.
We were watching the fourth one the other day, and as far as casting goes, Mr. and Mrs. Weasley, they
Yes.
couldn't have got more perfect.
Do you think? Is that like?
Yeah,
Am I going to see
100.
them when I read them?
Oh,
100%. You can't not.
yeah.
Oh,
You'll see
I'm
anything.
so
You'll see the only every character's again. Talking about characters that kind of missed, that didn't quite hit.
Mhm.
And again, Gleason, who played Mad Eye Moody, didn't quite get it for me in the book. I enjoyed it so much more.
Yeah.
It's more of an interesting character.
Interesting.
I'm trying to think now, because like I said, that's one of the things that the Harry Potter, like in the movies, if you go from start to finish, was done absolutely spot on. Like even Morning Myrtle was done
she was
absolutely
brilliant.
beautifully and perfect, even though she was like a 40-year-old woman playing like this teenage girl.
She's also the voice of Babu Fink in Star Wars. I think that's brilliant.
But trying to think of like casting that quite didn't like I say, you mentioned David Tennant, but
that's only because I know how good he is.
Yeah.
It's not a case of like his character, it was terrible. I know he can do better.
I've got a bit of a controversial, I don't know if it's controversial or not. I wasn't the biggest fan of Michael Gambon as Dumbledore.
Wow.
Yeah, well, to be fair though, it was a big shoes that Richard Curtis was.
For me, Richard Harris was.
Mr. Harris, sorry.
Perfect.
But
he was the Dumbledore we got in the books.
Yeah, but could you imagine that?
Perfect.
Could you imagine him moving like? Because you've got to remember how old he was at the time. If he'd lived through them films, he was getting older. Could he have moved like Richard could have moved? Like Richard did move around. It could have potentially taken the magic away.
In the books, he could. In the books, Dumbledore could. So his age at the time wasn't really a factor because that's how old Dumbledore.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I'm just referring to the actual actor himself.
Yeah.
Like he was an old man when he started that, and obviously passed away in the middle. I think the replacement, Richard Gambon, am I right saying?
No,
Michael
Gambon.
Michael, that's it. It's because you said Richard, and there's too many Richards. I loved him. I thought visually. He was. I can understand. You've probably got a very different picture in your head of what you think Dumbledore is, but for me, I just felt he spoke more clearer. He moved more fluently. Like I wanted to see Dumbledore. I wanted to see Dumbledore fight.
No, not in the Harry, not the state he was, because Dumbledore didn't. I completely agree with you what you're saying. I think they missed a trick with the cast. I know that it was tragic that we lost actually the way we did, but as you said, that was the perfect. And again, when you read the books, Dumbledore doesn't get into like the fights. Like he could just move. You have to remember as well, he had the Elder Wand.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I've got one of them.
Yeah, so he would just basically need to point and move, and the only thing that would. Like I would have loved to seen him in that cave as well when everything's going, when they're trying to get the Horcruxes. That would have been a powerful performance from the original actor.
Well,
but
if he didn't pass away, we would never have known the difference, would we?
No.
I mean, I know after Richard Harris died, they asked Ian McKellen. And the only reason Ian McKellen turned it down was because he was such good friends with Richard Harris, and I think Ian McKellen would have nailed it. I think he would have nailed it.
Oh my God, do you know what? He's just a sweetheart. He really is. Like, that's loyalty, that, isn't it? Like,
He could have been Gandalf and Dumbledore.
oh
Come
my
on.
God, just imagine.
And Magneto, come on.
Yeah.
My head would explode.
That's like the holy grail there.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. I probably would have went, but again, if it wasn't, like I said, him, I would probably went with Patrick Stewart. I think Patrick Stewart might have been an interesting choice.
I think he's too posh.
I don't know whether he's got the look. I think it's just because I can't imagine Patrick Stewart with hair and a beard, to be fair.
Even, I watched Dune the other day from 1984. He looked exactly the same as he does now back in 1984. There's been no change. That man has always looked old.
But yeah, it was, anyone who was filling into these shoes was on a hiding to nothing, so it was never going to be quite right. But yeah, no, I didn't take anything away. But I know, like from an interview, that one British actor, because like I say, when you look back through the films, it was basically the who's who of every single British actor, that thing. But the only one that that did an interview and said his biggest regret that he wasn't in the Harry films was Bob Hoskins.
Yeah. But Bob Hoskins is is a sad case of he retired and he passed away straight away. It's like he had that. I'm not saying he had nothing to live for, not like that. But it's the case sometimes when people eventually stop. Everything that their body has gone through is finally catches up with them, and it's so sad. There is another one actually. There's another actor who's just come out recently. Said one of his biggest regrets was never doing Harry Potter, and it was Michael Sheen.
Michael Sheen. Michael Sheen.
I love that man with every inch of my soul.
Well, to be fair,
I would love to see him in that.
He did play a kind of like a Harry Potter role in Twilight, so
no, he did not. No.
He probably would have got some kind of element of that, but it's I love looking back and looking through some of the characters and thinking who could have been like played who, and like as you said with Rick Miller's Peeves, when you read the books you can't see anyone else but
now
Peeves.
I'm going to on like that's what I'm gonna have it like I'm gonna have bloody Lord Flashheart in me head while I'm reading.
No it's very much bottom Richie from the bottom,
right?
definitely.
So on the back of that, on the back of sort of which characters don't you think they got right, which characters do you think they got right? Like which ones can't you imagine anybody else playing?
Generally can't.
Tonks. The last who played Tonks was
really
but
spot on.
Oh, see, I can't really say that, can I? Because I just know the actress, and the actress can really get on my head sometimes.
She annoyed me in Game of Thrones.
She annoyed me in The Mandalorian. I just want to just make her stop, and she wouldn't stop. But I have my mum's favorite. I think one of my mum's favorite characters is Tonks. My mum's read the entirety of the books, and I'm positive she says Tonks is just an amazing character.
Yeah. Fleur as well.
Fleur was really good, for me, it would probably be Ollivander, John Hurt.
John Hurt.
And again, Luna. I think what's her name? Who played Ivana Lynch?
Did you ever hear this? Did you ever hear about the story of how she got cast?
No.
When she'd written to J.K. Rowling when she was ill.
Yeah, she was suffering from anorexia, and she loved the Harry Potter books and said, I'm a big fan of I love Luna. She's like perfect. She went, right, if you can beat this, if you can beat get better, we'll see what we can do. And she did, and that's how she got cast as Luna.
Luna Lovegood, I love it.
But again, even like say when you read the books, Luna, oh my God, you fall in love with her so much.
I don't know if I could any more than what I have done from the movies. She is just
Luna's my favorite character in the movies.
Really, she's just adorable and just so clever without being Hermione clever.
Yeah, but
she's clever and she doesn't realize it.
Yeah, she has such a strong relationship with Harry in the books. Like as soon as they connect over something that none of the others can connect with.
I saw that in the last film where she the first time she shouts at him, it's Harry Potter, and I just love how she sings it, and he stops and listens to her like genuinely. I'm sorry, but Harry Potter in the last movie, riled me something chronic. The attitude of that kid when all they want to do is help him and make sure he's not doing this on his own, and he has to take an absolute hissy fit at the fact that these people who would essentially his family want to help. It does my nothing. And when Luna finally shouts Harry Potter, he kind of just stops and listens, like for the first time in that entire film.
Mm-hmm. No, I can understand. It is good, like annoying, but that's what because you get it more in the book, because that's what the last book gets you. Because
he's lost so many people,
and it takes you through, and the book's like long for a reason, because it's drawn out, and it makes you tired when you read it, so you understand kind of what he's went through. But
we're just looking from the movie perspective. Harry, the Order of the Phoenix, did that not show him, like, Dumbledore's army, did that not show him what he had behind him, what his family had? Even though he lost his parents, he still has Sirius at the end. Like, he still had a family connection, like a family bond there, which he was getting with Dumbledore's army.
Yeah, but he loses.
Not hold on to it.
But if he going for the films, he loses everyone. Everyone who gets close. Dobby.
Not of Dumbledore's army, though.
No, but
like I think in the books, it describes a bit more of how he's found this family that he never had, and he's so scared of losing them, he doesn't want to put them in danger.
But that makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, that does make sense.
But even if you think of the film-wise, the people he loses after that, Sirius dies, Dobby dies. Like I say, he's haunted by the death of Cedric.
Oh my God, I forgot all about Cedric.
So again, them things like, and he's got these people who mean the world. And again, you've got to remember he's been carrying around a Horcrux as well. That's been eaten away.
True.
And he beats you down. And again, he thinks, right, it's got to get to a point. This is what I talk about. He gets to the point, he's going, right, I'm not willing to lose anymore.
Right.
Exactly.
Now that you've relayed it back, I do get it. It just, I guess when you're looking at it from one side, because I'm not really taking into account. All I'm looking at is their feelings and not his, and how he would look at it.
He doesn't want anybody else to suffer either because of this thing that's been put on him. But completely changing the subject. The Neville.
Yeah.
So Neville is brilliant in the films, but his story in the books, which annoyed me so much that they didn't put in because it's so important, is massive. Like his part in the whole thing.
Yeah, I cried. That was the first time I cried in the books, was Neville's story. When you find out more about his backstory and like,
is this about his parents and what Bellatrix did to them?
It's more.
Like I've heard it's horrific. Like they say the detail in it is like absolutely horrific what they did.
When I think it was the scene in the books when Mr. Weasley's in hospital and they go to see him at St. Mungo's.
Yeah, after he's been given the curse. Yeah,
and Neville's parents are there.
Yeah.
Oh, so they're still alive.
Yeah. They've been tortured that much, but they're like just in comatose state.
I didn't know that. I just thought they'd passed. Like I thought she tortured them that much that they
passed. That's the feeling you get. That's the sort of sense that you get in the films. They're very much still alive in the books.
Yeah.
Wow. Poor Neville, and he's such an adorable, just movie-wise, but such an adorable character. The actor who plays him is just so cute. Gorgeous as well. Like he grew into that.
He grew up.
He grew into that face. Did you hear how he met his wife?
No.
It was at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in Orlando, Florida, and they were at a fan gathering. They had it was an anniversary thing, or it was the opening or something, and she was there just as a normal guest walking around, and he met her there, and I was like, okay, go Neville.
Go Neville's wife.
I think she might have won on that one. But going back to Cedric. A scene that Anthony has ruined forever. Now I can't watch it anymore because every time it comes on, all I hear out of Anth is "my boy."
It's heartbreaking though, Jeff.
That
Jeff
scream,
Roll is
that's what gets us. After I've stopped laughing after Anne's gone, my boy.
Yeah.
Sad scene.
I wasn't a fan of Pattinson as Diggory.
Oh, I expect him to be taller. That was one of the things I expect him to be a lot taller and bigger.
I don't know whether it's because I don't particularly find Robert Pattinson attractive, and Cedric Diggory is supposed to be, you know, the gorgeous boy at school that all
And
the
they
girls
picked
want.
Robert Pattinson?
And the picture that's what I mean. Like, he's supposed to be like the ultimate popular guy that all the girls are after, and I just thought he was a bit
Yeah, I'd probably like say in the Spider-Man world, he was probably the Flash Thompson.
Yeah.
Do you know there's a character in it who is I don't know if he's a Slytherin or maybe Gryffindor. He's quite tall, blonde hair. I just remember him from the last film because I watched it the other day, and it's when the Death Eaters come on the train looking for Harry, and Neville goes, he's not here. But before that, there's a guy who says, I'll tell my father about this. I thought he would play a really good Cedric. Like, he looked that very English private school boy that I would imagine that Cedric is, given his background. I didn't think Robert Pattinson was for what I feel that we're trying to portray, he wasn't given it, but that scream at the end will break my heart forever.
I always felt like, from the description in the books, I always felt like Victor Crumb and Cedric Diggory, the way they cast them in the films, I would have cast them the opposite way.
Yeah.
Right.
Just give Victor Crumb more hair.
But you know what I mean? Like, I would have had the guy playing Victor Crumb playing Cedric Diggory and Robert Pattinson as Victor Crumb. Yeah. That's how I imagined them.
Interesting.
But good point. Like, trying to think of other cast that, like I said, think that absolutely nailed. Like, I think we mentioned Emma Thompson as Trelawney was absolutely perfect. Maggie Smith.
How could we not talk about Maggie Smith? Oh, let's take a moment and appreciate the work that woman does. And
that woman had cancer.
She had
breast cancer in the last film.
The last film, and she does that amazing scene where she barricades Hogwarts, and
I've always wanted to do that spell.
Yeah. But it's when she takes Harry's place and she pushes him out the way in front of Snape. Like, she has no idea what's going on. To her, Snape is just, he's betrayed everyone, and that I've got goosebumps thinking about it, and I probably
she's amazing.
Crying. But that scene just chokes me, just how powerful it is and how powerful she is, and the conviction of Maggie Smith, and to know that she is so poorly, so poorly.
But she didn't want to let anybody, she didn't want to let the audience down.
She didn't want to let anyone down. And she said, if I can work, I will work.
I will work.
But that scene, again, like, as you said, when she's giving the speech as well, saying, it's time for you to protect Hogwarts, like, to do what you're meant to do. It's just absolutely, like, say, breaks you. And you've got the Warwick Davis standing next to her as well.
And Molly Weasley as well. And that look that Molly gives her when she's like, I always wanted to do that. And Molly's like, okay.
It's amazing though, because she goes from being absolutely terrifying while she's doing this spell to being absolutely endearing when she turns around and goes, I always wanted to do that spell.
Yeah, like she's got like a little
just like
chuckle.
that. Just like that.
There's one bit that sets my teeth on edge with that scene. Is when she's walking out of Hogwarts and you've got everyone behind her, and she's the one with the wand in her hand. She's the one who's in charge, and you've got bloody Neville Longbottom coming round the corner going, so you're saying I can do it? And she's going, yes, Neville. So you say I can blow this up? Yes, Neville. And he's like, boom, and it's boom. Honestly, it just sets me on edge. If they just didn't do that, that scene would have had so much gravitas. It would have been like even better than what it was. Just to see her, just even if it was a front angle of her coming out of Hogwarts and everyone's behind her. I think that's one of the things I've always said, that again, Harry Potter would have been a better TV show if they made it, because there would have been different characters. Like, you get brief things and touched on, where in the book they've not got huge parts, but they've got, like, you remember them more. Yeah. Like a part of the Gryffindor, like people like I can't remember the names now, but like the girl that goes to dance with Ron for the first time, she plays a bigger part, and she, even leading in, she, like, her and a friend are
quite really good at divination. I can't pronounce it now.
Divination.
Divination. And they don't get that part as well because like they've got a huge part with like Trelawney. The Slytherin as well. The Slytherin houses. Like there's a female Slytherin who's absolutely.
Is she in the last film with the black hair?
Pansy. Is it Pansy Parkinson?
I think so. Parkinson rings a bell, but she's absolutely nasty piece of work through the books as well, and she's
Can't wait to meet her.
she's like the foil to Hermione. She's like,
oh really? Oh, actually,
so
I've said to myself, I'm not gonna. When I read the books, Hermione has a clean slate.
Yeah,
like a proper clean slate. I'm not going to go in there and have her in my brain trying to ruin this character for us. I'm not going to let her do it.
And Dobby means so much more in the books as well.
God, Dobby.
I like Dobby.
I can't wait to see that version of him because what I've seen in the film just riles us.
Hedwig's death.
Oh no.
Hedwig's death in the book.
Yeah.
Don't.
Hedwig's death in the book. Oh,
yeah. Couldn't even do it on screen.
No,
I don't want to do it. I am absolutely terrified of birds, and it's not the bird; it's the wing. I don't like flapping. Like, I don't like it. It freaks us out. But owls, because they're so still and they don't really flap a lot, and all you get is the head movement. I'm so happy with them. I have a beautiful statuette of Hedwig in the living room. And I've my tree this year because, like I say, I am riding my heart. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Gorgeous.
I am
really
riding.
Is.
I rode a Harry Potter train to the point where I've changed my Christmas tree for the first time ever, and went Harry Potter inspired. I collect old wooden ornaments. Like you would get in the Victorian era, and I kind of mixed them up with like different baubles, but this time it's worked with me Harry Potter theme. So I'm like,
Harry Potter just works for Christmas though, doesn't it?
Yeah,
but this is why I wanted to do it now.
Yeah, because it's got Christmas elements into it, and I know it always used to come out around about Christmas. It used to always come out November 19th, I believe.
Around about November, yeah.
It was always the lead up to Christmas because like if you couldn't see it the first weekend, you were going to see it. It always was around in December.
Yeah.
This is why I wanted to do it in December, the Harry Potter one, because I thought it was perfect time, and also the the announcement of the reunion. Which I can't
And again, yeah. Sorry, before we move on to that as well, I know we've talked about Maggie Smith, but we've missed off one really important character that was casting Robbie Coltrane as Hagrid.
I knew you were going to say Hagrid.
Cannot, because he was the one that introduced us to the Wizarding World.
He's amazing.
And also, can we just take like an appreciation for the Dursleys as well? Like I know the awful people, but they really showed a level of abuse that didn't make us want to be sick. Like I didn't want to like be physically sick while I was watching them. But by the end, I know there's a deleted scene which I think has only just like been refurbished recently. Like it's done the rounds again online where she finally confronts him and tells her, you didn't just lose a mother. I lost a sister.
I lost a sister.
And you see, and also the deleted scene where the son finally like thanks
Dudley.
Dudley thanks Harry, and like can't understand why he has to leave him behind. And like, I wish they kept that in.
So do I.
Because it would have helped so much for us to understand that family.
Me and Kev were talking about this the other day when we were watching the fourth one, because they're so horrible all the way through. They never get their redeeming arc.
Yeah.
They're doing the book.
I think that scene that they missed out is so important as well, because it
explains so much.
It changes Harry in a way as well. Like
it gives him a bit of realization that there was a reason, because she explains why she was doing it and stuff like that. And Harry realizes in the book, especially, that it wasn't just out of dislike, or
it wasn't just because they didn't like him. It wasn't just because they didn't want him.
Yeah,
and it was a big part of Harry's sort of character development towards the end of the series.
Yeah, I always remember my mum telling us about that part in the book. She was like, talking about what was the son called? Yeah, no, you've just said his name.
Dudley.
Thank you. Talking about him and how like he can't understand why Harry's not coming with them. Like, why wouldn't he not come with them? Like he's
Yeah.
always been with them. Why now does that change? And you know, and then he thanks him for you know, helping him with, I don't know how it plays out in the book, but in the movie I guess it's the scene with the Dementor. And then she confronts him about the fact that she lost her sister.
Yeah.
And she looks, and he, you know, he has his mother's eyes.
Yeah.
That's got a sting.
There was I can't remember what film it was, but there was an interview with her, I can't remember her name, who plays Petunia. And they were asked they were asking about like fans' response to her when they see her. And she said that a couple of people found out where her dad lived. And he used to get knocks on the door from fans because they used to think that's where Harry Potter's grandfather lived, like really young fans.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Like on Halloween and stuff, and he used to like play along.
That is adorable. I can't remember the actress's name, but she is one of those. She's an institute when it comes to English.
She was in three.
English actress.
Yeah, I think she was in Three Men and a Little Lady.
No, is she not in Four Winds and a Funeral as well?
Possibly, but
she's like an institute when it comes to English actresses. She's like, you know, the Julie Walters of the world. She's these, you know, she's done so much.
But you don't actually see her
but
name.
You can never remember her name.
Exactly, and she's I don't think like I've ever seen her in a leading film before, but she is so well known. Like to look at her face, you know exactly who you're looking at and who you're watching.
But it's the same with like the husband. I can't remember his name, but he's been in literally Richard
Griffiths.
Richard Griffiths, that's one. But he's literally been in everything and anything that you can think of, British comedy or British film wise.
Stage and screen.
Yeah, he was he was a big stage actor, wasn't he? He passed away a few years ago,
he did.
Didn't he?
Sad.
But like I say, with everything, like they did use everyone who could be used, or I think they were lining up to be it. Again, Miss Tricks with the film, the reporter woman, I can't remember her name now.
Rita
Skeeter. Again, in the books, major big player, but very underused in the films as well.
She really gets under your skin in the books, isn't it? She's like proper
paparazzi, like proper
press.
she's
proper stereotypical
reporter.
Journalist.
That's the only way you can really describe her.
Yeah, it's like Harry finds this, but Harry stole this, and she would always twist it like against it. Like you would think she would be the nicest of the pie, but then when the newspaper come out, it was always like the turning the worst of any spin. But
because I don't know if they do it in the books, but you know in the film, sorry, but you know the book that's in the last couple of films about Dumbledore that Hermione's reading. Well, Rita Skeeter writes that, but I don't think you find that out in the movies.
No, because it's basically Dumbledore's hidden past and hidden.
Is this the? Because I've only just watched the last film the other day. Not only, but you know, for the millionth time. And you know, when he meets his brother, when they meet his brother, is that because I can't remember? Is that where she gets the books from?
No,
I can't remember her reading books. But bearing in mind it is
so
Hermione, so I could have switched.
You know when they're looking for Horcruxes, and there's like a couple of scenes where Hermione's looking after the Horcrux. It's after Ron leaves, and they're in the woods. And Hermione's after Harry's one gets broken. Hermione's sitting against a tree reading a book. That's the book that she's reading. In the books, I think, does Rita Skeeter not send them one?
I don't think it's books. They do it in articles in the
it's the Daily Prophet, isn't it?
The Daily Prophet's got different chapters of saying read about Dumbledore's secret past, secret family and stuff like that, and then it leads on to Hermione doing like I say her looking back into the thing. That's where like the support and help comes from. But again, that was probably my bugbear when it comes to the books and the film, is they made such a big deal about these Horcruxes, and then it kind of flew through them all towards the end, where like I said, it was such a slow burn, like to find one or thing, then have them all at the end.
These were all the Horcruxes were all part of Voldemort, weren't they?
Yeah, like, part of his soul.
Part of his soul. So it would have been interesting to have a little bit more backstory as a moviegoer, backstory into, because you do get glimpses, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm my honestly wrong person. I forget everything.
For a subject that's like, especially with Harry Potter, a lot of it was drawn out. But these elements, you don't get too much of a backstory, and it's kind of just like rushed through, and then it's like, oh, we're at the end scene now, all the Horcruxes are kind of get thrown through at the same time. Like,
for me, it was underplayed how much it took out of Voldemort to create the Horcruxes in the films, because he's literally splitting his soul into 6 or 7 different pieces.
They make it sound quite easy.
Yeah, in the books, like, it really does destroy him to do so.
Can we just talk about Voldemort and the amazing Ralph Fiennes, who looked absolutely gorgeous even when he didn't have a nose?
It was very snake-like.
I still don't get why he didn't have a nose.
Why not?
See, he was turned into a snake or something, like going into Slytherin, but that's why it was like passing on.
He had a nose in the books.
I read an interview where he said it was just more sinister. He wanted to feel more sinister, so to take that element away from him, kind of
took him less human type.
Exactly.
Although, if you watch the making of it, it's not quite as sinister when he's got all the dots all over his face.
Was it like a League of Gentlemen thing where they're pushing his nose up?
It's just, the motion capture dots that you have to wear all over his face.
Oh dear.
Wowzer. I bet he looked great. But I thought for bad guys, you can't get any better than Ralph. I say Ralph. I don't know if anyone else calls him Rafe. But Ralph Fiennes, that's what he's getting called because it's got an L in there. But you can't get any more better guy than him. Like, you watch Schindler's List, that man is sadistic. Like, he played sadistic brilliantly, and I thought he was fantastic as Voldemort. I don't know if that's the Voldemort you know from the books, but for the movies, I just thought he was perfect.
You don't really get... Again, I know it sounds really... He was quite a bland character in the books. When
he was just evil, wasn't he?
Like, he didn't have
a personality. He didn't have... He was just evil.
Just pure evil. So there's no complexity there. There's no. Do you know how we would me and Kev were talking about complex villains on the group not long ago, and you've got different layers. So it makes the complex. Is he just across the line?
I think that's largely why Kev doesn't like him as Voldemort. Kev's not a big fan of Ralph Fiennes as Voldemort, but I think that's just because there's nothing else to Voldemort except evil.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't
evil
have like
and rejection.
There's not really, like, say, they don't really go into it too much. Like, I know, like, say, with his childhood and how he's bullied and how he felt he was superior, but it doesn't really go into that in the books. He's just got one note. He hates Harry Potter. He thinks Harry Potter needs to die. And the Malfoys show more interest than he did. Like, Bellatrix was quite a complex character, especially in the books. But
they're all related, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like Malfoy's mom is Bellatrix's sister, who is Sirius Black's cousin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Bellatrix and Narcissa are
what a name
related to the Blacks.
Mm-hmm.
But can we just take a moment for Narcissa Malfoy, Helen McCrory?
Mm-hmm.
We'll just take a moment. That was a sad. Being serious,
that was a shock. That was a shock. That one.
That was a sad loss, especially for not just screen, not just for your Peaky Blinder fans, but for stage as well. She is
his Dark Materials. She was due to be in that.
Yeah.
She's incredible.
Gutted when I get her for that.
She played Sherry Blair and made her look amazing. The woman had everything, and that look at the end, she with the black coat and her white hair coming over it. The costumes are fantastic, especially for the Death Eaters. Like, they're absolutely fantastic in the movies. But she was so bloody striking,
amazing.
Yeah. But again, just like I say, sorry to go side thing. We mentioned Death Eaters in the books. I mean, sorry, in the films, they're so underplayed. Like, the books, the Death Eaters are so impactful. Like, the sign when it shows up, especially during the World Cup, the Quidditch World Cup.
Yeah.
Like, that's half of one of the books, and it's only like 10 minutes.
Really?
Like, it's absolutely brilliantly played out, and like even like Seamus has a great turn in the from the start of the Harry Potter book to the end of the Harry Potter book. It goes through such a journey, and you miss that so much because he becomes a bit of an enemy towards Harry. Like, him and Seamus absolutely hate each other for quite a while.
Yeah, the connections as well, like the connections that the Death Eaters have to Hogwarts students is massive. Like, a lot of Malfoy's friends, like Crabbe and Goyle, their
Mhm.
parents are Death Eaters.
Okay, you would. I guess there would. I guess the Slytherins came from a bit of a dodgy background, but they don't really get into the fact that they could potentially be Death Eaters or were Death Eaters, because a lot of people defected, didn't they? Like when
it's
he
only
fell.
mentioned. It's only mentioned. The Crabbe and Goyle connection is only mentioned once in the films, and that's in the fourth one when Voldemort comes back and all the Death Eaters come in, and he's pulling their masks off and saying their names.
Mhm.
And he pulls one off and he goes Crabbe, and then he pulls the other one off and he goes Goyle, and that's
right.
it.
I'm
That's
really.
the
I
only
obviously
time it's
must have
mentioned.
switched off then, because I remember the scene. I can't remember the names that he said when he did it. I think I was more focused on Malfoy.
But I think as well with the books as well, like not even talking about the characters, like the creatures, and how Voldemort's going around getting all these creatures on his side as well, and how Hagrid's mission is to like get the giants on his side.
Yeah,
like, and with Madame, what's she called?
Maxime.
Maxime.
Madame absolutely giant tall lady.
Yeah,
Yes.
him and like her and Hagrid, because how Hagrid's part giant. I know it's like not really mentioned, but in the books,
You can
it's quite
kind
a
of
big.
tell he's taller than everyone else in the films, like
Yeah,
just a tad.
But when they talk about the giants have a huge thing. But Voldemort and the Death Eaters are turning the giants against people. So when you get the big war at the end, like the storming of Hogwarts, it's not just Death Eaters. It's like all these creatures are coming after Hogwarts as well. It's giants attacking
trolls and the centaurs and
When is December 25th? Like I cannot honestly. If I don't get these off my sister, because it's the only thing I've asked for, I'm going to cry. No, I'm not actually. I wouldn't. What I'll do is I'll get on the Boxing Day sale. I was going to say
that was a little bit big. I'm a spoiled little child now. Where's my present?
I never ask for anything. I'm the worst person to buy for, because I just say I don't know. Don't need to get us anything. I'll get it myself. But no, it was the only thing I asked for. I'm not starting. I've got a couple of pages left in my Game of Thrones book, and I am really drawing that out because I don't want to start a new book because I have so much time off over Christmas. This is all it's getting taken up with.
Yeah.
I'm going to hammer this, and I would love for us to get back together again once I'm finished. Obviously, we will get back together again before then, but to talk about the books of Harry Potter. I would love to be able to join in that conversation and
book club.
Good segue as well, because again we've got ideas for the book club, because as I said before, we are going to plan on doing book reviews, so that is going to be an element where not like podcast, but like what we're doing now and putting on the YouTube channel. So rather than getting a group of people together and sit in a room and talk about it, we're going to get a few people and create content. So that's going to be an idea going forward for the book club.
I'd love to know what you think of them reading them for the first time, because there's not many people I know that haven't read them. So I'd love to know what you think reading them for the first time now. Like one of my friends, he's never into Harry Potter. I've seen the films, never read the books. Read them about 3 years ago, and is obsessed now because the books gave it so much more
meaning and and that's what I'm expecting to get out of it. And it's not just yourselves. Like my friend Amy has been, the minute she heard this is what I want to read, because she knows me better than anyone. I am not a great fiction reader, and she knows that. So when I said I want to read Harry Potter, she was like, "Oh yes, I can't wait! I can't wait you to meet this person and see this thing and do that thing." And I'm so excited. And just talking to you guys tonight, it's not the flame was there; it's just bursting all over us now. I am radiating with. I need to read these books.
But just like little adventures, going down when they go to Honeydukes.
When they go to Hogsmeade.
That's what I mean. Sorry, and for the first time in the books, it's such an important thing, and like it's so enlightening and fun. And even like say Diagon Alley in the books is terrifying. Like I say, like all the different like shops and all the different things that like when he goes to the wrong place and comes out, it's darker, it's sinister. The characters as well. Again, characters that you don't really know too much, that you do fall in love with. And you've just kind of been given like teased with them now. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Well, sorry, Charlotte.
It puts such an image in your head as well when it's describing the places, like when it's describing Honeydukes. You get an image of it in your head, and I think that's probably the one thing that the film did so well is the sets. Like the first time you see the Ministry, it's almost exactly what you can what you imagined. It's like stepping into the book. The first time you see the Ministry, the first time you step into Honeydukes, when you see Fred and George's joke shop for the first time, when that moment in the first one, when the brick wall opens and you see Diagon Alley, that is exactly how you imagine Diagon Alley.
Yeah. But again, as well, and this is going to sound the most weirdest thing, when you're reading the books, it's almost you can smell the things as well, because they describe it so well.
Yeah, I'm riding that at the moment with Game of Thrones. In Theon's book, in Theon's chapters, he's in Winterfell, and I can smell Winterfell. It's described so well. I can feel the damp. I can smell the moist, like the feistiness and the burning, and I get what you mean by that. I want to ask quickly about the ending, and I'm not referring to the Star Wars ending of the lightsaber duel between Voldemort and Harry Potter. The actual ending. So in the film, you have a grown-up Harry who does not look very grown-up, but is meant to be.
A bit of stubble.
Yes. They mess Ginny's hair up a bit. They give her a bit of a coif.
But for some reason, Hermione looks she's
exactly the
30.
same.
No, she looks like I think she looks really like aged.
Does she?
Like she's got a bit of grey hair and
the proper give Ron a good, didn't they? Oh my God! Sorry. Just before I get sidetracked with that end bit, Ron Weasley, right? I think he is one of the greatest characters. Like, I love Snape, but I think he's one of the greatest characters in that film. I think Rupert
Grint.
Yes, is amazing. I don't think he gets the credit that the rest of the cast got. Charlotte doesn't look convinced.
No. Carry on and then I'll.
No, go on.
No, so I love Rupert Grint as Ron Weasley. I think he did him really well, but I think the one thing that the film missed that the books had was the film seemed to turn Ron into a bit more of like comedy relief.
Yeah.
He was a bit of a bumbling sidekick, whereas there's more to him in the book. He's a bit more
about him.
The jealousy comes through a bit more, and there's a bit more depth to him, which I kind of missed in the films.
Yeah.
Rupert Grint plays him brilliantly, but I do think they did turn him into a bit of a comedy relief sort of typical sidekick character.
And again, I want to sound controversial here, I thought Rupert Grint as a younger actor was better than he was when he was older. As the film goes on, it gets a little bit sketchy, but Charlotte's got it right. He becomes more of a hero than Harry in the books.
But look at who he's playing next to, you know what I mean? Like, he's got to work with a broomstick, so it'll be hard for him to act alongside that. No, I'm only joking. He's absolutely adorable as a kid. I really can't wait to meet this Ron then. Like, I'm referring to them as like
you've got dirt on your nose.
And these little scabbers, and he's
I saw a really good theory the other day. Speaking of that, so you know when they first meet on the train and Ron tries to turn Scabbers yellow, and it doesn't work. The reason why it doesn't work is because it's not really a rat. Like, I read that and I was just like, oh, yes.
Yes, that makes sense to me now. Yes. Ooh. Never thought of that, because like say, the only thing to reverse it would be like say to change back to Peter Pettigrew. But yeah, But but yes. But I like how the rat kind of evolved, because like from the first film he was a normal rat, and he had this like hairy ear and big weird look. Scabbers got much more of a budget there. But
yes. So going back to that end scene in Ron's gut, is that how it plays out in the book? I need to know if it
pretty
is
much, yeah.
Pretty much exactly.
Right.
Exactly, yeah.
I would have been really disappointed, because I generally I do love that scene. I love the explanation of where his name comes from. Correct us if I'm wrong, but doesn't Harry take on Loomis's child? Am I making that? Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I'm not making that
Remus.
up. I was Remus, that's it. I was saying that to Anthony the other day. I was like, I'm absolutely 100% positive he has something to do with his upbringing, if not brought him up.
They make him godfather.
Right.
So that's where that comes in.
That makes sense then. I know it's not mentioned at the end of the film. I just remember saying, and I'm sure that's where it is, where they're at. Actually,
there's a little bit in. I mean, it's pretty much exactly the same. There's just a tiny little bit in that I wish they had put in, and it's Neville is now the professor of herbology at Hogwarts.
Yeah.
In that little end bit that they didn't put in, and I was just like, oh.
Of course he is.
Yeah. But that's where I think, like you said, a TV show would expend on, and you would get a lot more from. And again, especially if they've got the Game of Thrones budget at it as well.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. Not just the Game of Thrones budget, but the source material's all there. It's not, we're not waiting for it to be finished or having to make it up as we go along. The source material is all there, and not just that source material, which is going to lead me nicely into just the next bit I just want to ask you quickly. It's also got the Fantastic Beasts,
which we're going to get 7 films from. That's what's planned.
No, we're not. After the second one, no, we're not.
No.
The second one.
Warner Brothers have planned out 7 films. For
Don't say their name; they'll ban us.
I took myself live yet, but apparently when the first one came out, they said there's going to be another 6 Fantastic Beast films after this one.
Oh my god!
So I don't think we're going to get anything other than we'll get these 7 films, and then they'll probably revisit Harry Potter again, because that's.
I don't want them to ever reboot Harry Potter. I don't want them to ever redo it.
No, I don't think it's needed. I thoroughly.
You couldn't get the names. You couldn't get the actor. Well, sadly, because quite a few of them aren't with her anymore. You couldn't get the actors that are in the original films.
Yeah, but
it would not be.
Yeah, but I have read that because I was talking about a TV show that's going to be the next step. They are going to think about taking. Might not be Harry Potter, but it's going to be the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in the TV show.
I'd love to see something about Harry's parents' time at Hogwarts, like the Marauders and
leading up to Voldemort's first demise. Well, the game, me and Ant have just been talking about this in February. All the game releases that have not come out over the last 18 months all come out of February this year. Ant was like, we can't be skint. And Harry Potter is one of them, and we've just made an agreement.
Legacy or something like that?
Something like that. We've just made an agreement. We'll buy it on the PlayStation so I can play it as well. Because I love the PC, but I'm not really a big gamer on it.
I thought it was a PS5 exclusive.
You can get it on PC too, apparently.
Oh, all right.
I've seen it advised for a couple of things,
Oh, right.
But I might be making that up. He said we'll get it on the PlayStation, so we've got we can both play it, because I'm really looking forward to it. If it's anything like my Ghostbusters game, I'll be just be immersed. So anything else you want to bring up with the Harry Potter world? I feel like honestly, I've thoroughly enjoyed tonight. I needed this after a crap day.
I'm not
touch on Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah, you brought it up, but I hadn't even mentioned.
He's just all went quiet. I just was making sure. Are we ready to go or not? So Fantastic Beasts.
It was an interesting take.
I'd never heard of it before. I'm going to be deadly honest. I've never heard of any of it before until the movies came out. And Anthony was like, I was going to buy you the books. I went, books?
It wasn't a
Books?
proper book. So I can't remember when it was, but it was for Comic Relief one year. She wrote a guide to Quidditch, and she wrote Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them,
Oh,
and it was all
right.
for Comic Relief.
Mhm.
And Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is basically just a field guide. It's there's no story to it. There's nothing to it. It's just
Right.
creatures and their descriptions.
Mhm.
And then that was the inspiration for Fantastic Beasts. Newt Scamander was the writer of the book.
Yeah.
And then that's what led to the
Yeah, so-
films. And
yeah.
she's just she's taken the films down a different route, and she's going more into the Dumbledore Grindelwald sort of relationship. And
Yeah.
I did
Which I
love
don't
the
think,
first one.
which I don't think it should go down, because, like I said, the Fantastic Beasts is Newt's story.
Yeah.
Why does
So
it have to be about Dumbledore? Is it just because it's a name that you're familiar with that we'll throw that in there?
yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely adored the first one.
I love the first one.
Honestly, the Newt character was just so adorable and endearing. There was not one character in there I did not find annoying.
Kowalski, I love Kowalski.
Oh my god, who was the actor who plays him again?
I don't
Dan
know, but,
Fogler.
Dan
yeah, but
Fogler.
he was in Fanboys.
He's my honestly.
He was, and the Goldbergs.
The Goldberg, he's the brother, isn't he?
He is.
He's the brother who buys the DeLorean. And he's also in The Walking Dead at the moment.
He is, yeah.
At least he was the last time I saw it.
He is. He's lost loads of weight in that. I didn't recognise him at first.
I think, if you're going to be in the apocalypse for that long,
I suppose, yeah.
you're going to make some different appearances. I think he's fantastic in Fanboys. I've heard rumours that there's going to be a Fanboys 2. With Force Awakens being
they can't make a Fanboy too.
But you do know who wrote Fanboys.
Yes, I know. It was the Goldberg. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. But
I think it's a fantastic idea for Force Awakens. Different characters, not the same characters.
Won't have the same effect. They can't do a sequel to that film. The main character was the main reason, because the whole plot was to see the Phantom Menace before he died of cancer.
Yeah.
So they can't really do that.
Well, yeah. That could be a bit depressing.
But yeah, that's going to be that would be. But
that's why they didn't release it in the cinema, because the storyline was sad, but it wouldn't work any other way. It only worked because of that premise.
Yeah.
I can't see it too. I'll refuse to watch it. It's not going to happen.
I would not.
I'm kicking off now.
Okay. Paul's kicking off. It's not happening.
No.
I did hear rumours last year about this though, and nothing has come out.
I'm just getting bad news. They're redoing Firefly.
They're not.
Oh, don't.
Yeah, Disney's
got the rights.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Oh, why can't they just touch up what they have? Put the series in order, because I've never seen it in order. I've seen it all over the place.
Buy the DVD. The DVD's the right order.
I'm not buying a DVD. Where do you think I'm from?
Just did a
start I'm from the north, you know.
The train job
DVD.
What? Purchase?
If you watch the stream, and they'll always go with the train job, which was episode 3 in the actual DVD, I think.
It was higgledy-piggledy, wasn't it?
I wanted to start with an action shot, but
that's a shock. Actually,
Stupid Fox!
You can tell Nick's not in.
She's downstairs. She's watching it. She's watching the Sex and the City reboot.
And my sister's just texted us and said it's brilliant, by the way.
Yeah.
But no, what was I going to say?
Fantastic Beasts.
Before that, are you surprised that Disney have got the rights? Are you surprised that they're going to do something with it? It's
no, because I buy in everything.
Exactly, they're going to own the world by 10 years' time. We'll all be wearing Mickey Mouse.
Not even that. Not even that. You were last week.
Yeah. Go back to
permanently.
Going back to what Charlotte said, the second Fantastic Beast wasn't a good film.
Why did
it didn't have any beasts in it. It didn't have the creatures in it. Like
that makes sense.
It didn't. That's why I loved the first one. Like that moment in the first one when you first go down and you see his suitcase and you see like the camera pans around and you see all the creatures and it's just amazing. And the second one just didn't have, like, I can remember so many creatures, like magical creatures from the first one. I remember 2 from the second one.
Yeah, it wasn't magic. That's the thing. It was all about, like I say,
And
Robert
the
Downey.
the characters as well.
Yeah.
I just thought that
What?
the reason why you fell in love with the characters, the reason why they were so lovable in the first one, there were just shells of that in the second one. Like
Newt
Kowalski,
didn't have any. Yeah, Newt didn't have
Kowalski
anything
was just like wide-eyed and ooh magic.
Yeah, I've only ever watched it once, so that's, you know, my memory isn't great. So I do remember going to pictures to see with my mum, and like mum's a huge Pottermore fan, and we're sitting there, and you know the scene where it makes reference to Dumbledore being in a relationship with what's his face,
Grindelwald.
Yeah, my mum in the middle of the cinema went, "No shit," literally. The cinema was deadly silent, and my mum just went, "No shit," and I was like,
"Yeah, it's kind of like now they've realised they can force things into it, but I didn't like. Again, I know he got a lot of hate, but allow me again not to go into that. But Johnny Depp, I preferred Colin Farrell in the first film.
So did I.
I thought he was more sinister. He just looked a bit kooky and weird.
Which is weird because at the end of the first film, when like obviously you find all that out and you see him and he says, "I'll see you soon," I got so excited because I'm a Johnny Depp fan. I got so excited, and then in the second film, he wasn't.
Yeah, it just wasn't what you expected.
Is not to get it as much as I disagree for the reasons of him leaving the role. I think Mads Mikkelsen's going to be so much better.
Yeah.
Wow, I did not realise that that's where they were going. Like I knew it wasn't Johnny Depp anymore, but I didn't realise that he'd already like been cast.
Oh no,
he was cast last year. No, last year, earlier this year.
I think I finished filming last year. Yeah. It came out a while ago because he posted a thank you to Johnny Depp because Johnny Depp gave him his blessing for the role as well.
Well, that's nice. That's a nice gesture. I think Johnny Depp on that film was just almost like a characteristic of himself, like a character version of himself, and it wasn't a great deal of acting done on his part, not to what we know he can do.
Let's be honest. There was not enough acting in the film. Full stop. Yeah.
I don't think it was well written. I don't think the pacing was very good. I think it was too long. I think there was a lot of story arcs that they started that couldn't go anywhere or that went nowhere. There was characters that they brought in that the way the film finished were completely pointless, like Zoe Kravitz as Lestrange.
Oh, that's right.
Was completely pointless because we know Bellatrix was the last one.
Yeah.
Like that it didn't seem like
it doesn't have an emotional punch of a name.
To me it didn't seem like they paid that much attention to the source material.
Yeah. They kind of just went, we want these two characters to come against each other. And
we'll want these names mentioned, and we'll want these names mentioned, and we'll want these names mentioned. But it doesn't matter how they're going to fit in to the rest of the universal timeline.
Popular names, get it in there. I'll watch it again, obviously, but the first one will stick in my head. Like it'll live in my head for and free because it is just.
It's fun. It's fun. But again. I know we're talking about wizards and like I say, I shouldn't be worried about realism and stuff like that. But from that timeline, getting Dumbledore there to Dumbledore in Harry Potter, God, he's got to have a hard paper round. He's got to go through some shit.
Yes.
Going from
Jude Law in
his mid-40s to looking like Harris in his hundreds. What's happened? Where have we gone?
Didn't even think of that. That didn't even cross me mind.
Yeah, Jude Law looking all suave and not too bad looking in his suit.
Yeah.
To Richard Harris with his massive white beard and his robes.
That's amazing. Like something bad must have really happened to get from that to this.
Yeah. Voldemort and Grindelwald.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
But,
that's genius. I never even thought about that. Like
Because to be fair, there's only about 80 years, because it's just before the First World War, something around about the First World War.
Is it? Oh, yeah.
It's not that long between them.
It must be in the 50s. That looks
No.
like a 50s set in them.
No, it's in the 20s.
No,
it's in the 20s.
That's the
20s. 20s or 30s.
20s, yeah.
America looks shiny for the 20s then.
Yeah, they built it quick in there. It's magic.
20s, 30s, they go to the in the first one they go to like this sort of speakeasy bar, don't they? Where the giggle juice, where Kowalski takes the giggle juice and that.
Yeah.
I've really got to watch this again.
So again, I know I get annoyed when people start like picking out little things and stuff like, because we're talking about magic, wizards, fantastic creatures, but for someone the age, I want an explanation. If I don't get an explanation, I'm not buying the shit. So sorry. Yeah.
Oh no. I want an explanation. I want an explanation for the end of that film.
Yeah.
I'm
right now,
I'm gonna have to watch it now and try and see if I can explain it to you.
Right now, I'm not buying it. I am not buying it.
Charlotte, I have never seen your face turn so quickly. Like, you always look so innocent and sweet and light, and you've changed.
No, the end of the explanation for Ezra Miller's character in the second, just really not.
Well, it's like you were Dumbledore with there, eh?
What?
Was he?
Apparently.
Yeah.
Okay, I really need to watch this.
What films? Have you watched this film, Sarah? Is this one of the ones that you've not seen?
No, I went the pictures to see this. This is how bad, but this is why Carolyn calls me Dory for. I have to watch things a million times because my brain doesn't take everything in.
I don't know whether it just seemed longer when we were watching it, but it did seem like a really long film.
Yeah, I think.
Do you remember how beautiful the first one looked?
Although,
and they turned one of the most innocent and lovely characters as well, and saying, "Oh, that's just going to follow Grindelwald," like that thingy's sister, who
Queenie.
Was like Queenie.
I know.
Queenie, and the turn of the way they did, she
Mm-hmm.
did not get the justice she deserved in that film.
So she is a Broadway star.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember her name now, but you know, in the first one when they go to meet Ron Perlman character, when they go in the club, so the song that I can't even remember what it is, but the song that is being sung by the performer, she wrote and performed that song.
But like I say, because the first one, she was probably one of my favorite parts of it. Yeah. But then going into that, I kind of just wasted it.
I was so excited when at the very end of the first one, when Kowalski's got his bakery and she walks in and they smile at each other. I was so excited to see their relationship grow in the second film.
Yeah.
And it was all over, but it was like, because they would have to learn everything all over again. And there was obviously something there. And I'm going to kick myself because I've just now got a picture of Queenie in my head and she's wearing a flapper dress. How could I not know that wasn't from the 20s? Jesus.
And then their relationship was over before it began. For the audience anyway. I know it had been a while for like the films, but it was over before it began.
Yeah. And we're important, you know, like we're the reason they're there.
That really disappointed us.
Yeah, that was always one of the down points. But again, we're going to get another few films, so they can make it up to us or make it worse. We'll see how
they go.
Again, I'm going to say the name. Warner Brothers is going to make that Harry Potter dollar somehow. So yeah, dollar bill.
Yeah, that's a name they're not going to get rid of. It's like Sony and Spider-Man, isn't it? You ain't going to get rid of that cash cow.
I think at this point they know what they've got though. If it's got the Harry Potter name on, there's going to be people interested. People are going to go see it. They're going to make money off it.
I think we're going to get Harry Potter content, either film, TV shows, or even further books. I know they're doing the stage, so they're going to turn that into a film at some point, like The Cursed Child.
Because they need to explain it to me better than what the book did, because I seriously couldn't tell you what happened.
The Cursed Child.
Yeah.
No, but
I don't acknowledge it.
To be fair,
I know it's supposed to be canon.
I know it's supposed
to be canon. I really do, but I just cannot get my head around Bellatrix and Voldemort having a child.
Honestly, Charlotte,
I just can't.
Such a different side of you tonight, mind. I didn't know Harry Potter was going to bring this out in you.
Did you know though, when you go and see the stage show, you've got to sign a non-disclosure form that you won't let anything out of the stage
that was in the beginning. Now the book's released.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, it was in the beginning. You had to sign a non-disclosure act to say that you wouldn't release it, but you watch it in 2 parts.
Yeah,
so you
and
watch it
you
in
pay
the morning
£100 a
and watch it
ticket.
in the night.
£100 a ticket.
I am really surprised though that because the book of the Cursed Child was just released as a screenplay. It's just the play.
Yeah.
So I am really surprised that hasn't been turned into a novel yet.
Give it time.
Like I am really surprised that has, because it's been out quite a while now.
Yeah,
it's been out quite a while now. I'm surprised that hasn't been.
Yeah.
She hasn't done that.
It will.
Give it time.
Yeah. That's going to be the thing, though. Again, I bet, like I say, in the next 20 years, we're still going to be getting Harry Potter because it makes money.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been rumored. There's so many like fan posters, and it's been rumored that they're going to do it for so long now, though, haven't they?
Yeah.
Like they know that they can do it at any point, and it's just gonna.
They've got us on the tether, haven't they? And always are going to look how we are reacting over the reunion. Look at how we're going on about that, and it's literally going to be a couple of hours of watching them all. I can't wait. 1st of January, cannot wait.
I'm really excited for the reunion for one reason. I cannot wait for the other cast members to rip the piss out of Neville Longbottom, what do you call him, who plays Neville Longbottom, for that underwear that he did.
Yes.
I can't wait for it.
And I hope they acknowledge the passing of the people who are not there. And I will most likely bawl my eyes out at every single one of them. So just be prepared, Charlotte, on messages. I'll be like,
because we obviously no one will come around here. We were watching them, only got to the 4th one, but I didn't realise how many aren't with it anymore from the first film to now. Like there's Richard Griffiths, Alan Rickman, John Hurt, Richard Harris, there's Helen McCrory. There's so many of them.
There's a kid who played one of the Slytherins who got stabbed.
No, he wasn't a Slytherin. He was.
Was he on the table with Jim Broadbent?
Slughorn, yeah.
Mint actor.
Slughorn's dinner party.
He's on that dinner party, isn't he?
He's one of the guests. He got stabbed in London, and he was only like 21. Maybe he's a bit younger.
Really young. It is sad who's passed. Like you do expect the likes of like John Hurt and Richard Harris to pass on. It's part of life, but for someone that young, that's really really sad. Jim Broadbent, mint, by the way, thought he was great. Love Slater.
John has met him, of course.
Done his little bestie there.
Yeah.
Who's met him?
Yeah, she's starting to film with him.
What?
Where have you been?
It was a couple of months ago when she went down to be an extra on the film set.
Oh yes, I remember her doing that. I didn't realise that she was
Jim Broadbent.
Jim Broadbent. She was
let's just remember, I only joined the mod chat not long ago, so I haven't been able to keep up with all you.
This has been on the Facebook group as no.
I didn't see it. I've only literally I would honestly at work I would sit and just scan through everything. It's only been the last few months I am religiously looking through everything ooh, what's people talking about?
Well, so our listeners, we do have a Facebook chat. A Facebook group called Nerdy Up North Community where we share all the stories and communicate quite daily. Most of us do post in there or go in there. Sorry, I had to wind you up there.
I post all the time. I posted a very nice thank you to what was it Gavin? Who sent me my Lord of the Rings figure? Yes.
So she gets the freebies, I still get the shit.
Hang on a minute, he did ask you first.
True.
He did ask you first, and honestly, it came the next day. I was shocked.
Yes, and who did I put it on now?
Me.
Well then.
Was this Lord of the Rings?
Yes, I didn't want the Lord of the Rings tack.
Honestly, you're missing out on a treat. Actually, I'm glad you don't want it because it's now sitting in. He's down there, actually.
I was going to say, is it still on your cat tree?
No, it's just the best place to get a picture. Honestly, they're the most awkward things to take photographs of because it's just clear plastic, so it shines up everything. What you got?
Found that.
Where'd you find it?
No. I gave them to my nephew years ago, but he didn't want them.
And you took them back?
Yeah, he gives them back. Saying that though, I've got a bag full of graphic novels I'll be putting on the Facebook group as part of the as part of the what's it called, the yard sale thing we're going to be doing. I've got a bag full of all the DC ones.
No. Ooh, it's all right.
Yes. So it was part of them. You know the ones where you got the eagle.
The Eagle Moss ones.
Yeah, so you got the things. I didn't collect the whole ones, so I can't, and so it's annoying us. So I'll be putting a few of them.
You know, Antoine let us take out me Superman comic I bought off you.
Why?
I'm going to take it out of plastic.
Well, it is, yeah. Well, no, because it was the Superman Dies edition. It come in a black bag.
Yeah.
So if you open it, it's got a comic and like things in. But if you open the comic, if you open the bag, you lose all value.
You won't let us take it out. The minute you clocked eyes on you, I was like, "Look what I've just got!" And you went, "No, don't you dare! Don't you dare!"
Yes, but yes, sorry, Harry Potter.
We started this by saying we're not going to go off on a tangent.
Yes,
honestly,
we've ended up going on a tangent. That's fine.
Who cares?
So
it's nearly the weekend.
True. So has anyone got any other points or anything they want to bring up?
I do not, but I do want to say I want to do this again. Like I want to be able to sit down and talk to you as a one-on-one book reader and be able to get, because honestly, like you have really getting us excited to read these, and I can't wait to give you my opinion on like kind of like what we've just talked about, but I'll tell you how I feel about it.
Oh, certainly.
Just me. No, I'm kidding.
No, definitely. Like I say, it is an interesting thing. As I've said, we have got a lot of ideas coming up for next year. Like I say, the book club. Again, I know it's Charlotte's baby, but rather than trying to meet people and sit round, like I say, doing an episode or like I say, doing a talk like we do, even if it's not like as long as our podcast, could be like say a way of getting the word out and getting people interested. That is another thing that
use the channel, use the platform, put the content out. That's what it's there for. I think it's a brilliant idea. I know we've
talked about possibly having other content other than this on the channel as well going forward anyway.
Well, I'm just not a fast reader, so don't expect us to.
Well, that's why I sent you the thing to read Join Me, because that's the book I really want to start, because I think.
Oh, is that the link you sent us?
Yeah.
Oh, is that about the guy that started the cult?
Yeah, starting a cult. He started a cult by accident.
Really, it's just Paul's first draft.
Hang on a minute, I was just going to say, Paul, is this not your book and you're just trying to get it out there?
Seriously, you'd think it's a true story. It happen. It did happen.
Is it happening right now?
No, I'll tell you the premise. It's absolutely brilliant. Basically, he was bored one day. It's called Danny Wallace. We've talked about him before.
Oh, that's right. You sent us this the other day.
He does loads of boy projects. He used to work with Dave Gorman on like Google Whack or something, whatever it's called. And he just decided he was bored one Friday night, didn't have him do, so he added in the newspaper saying, "Join me." Send two photographs and like I say, a bit about yourself, and people start writing in, and it went from there, and it started growing, and he ended up with their following and like say loads of people around the world, he had joinees, and it turned into a cult, and the cult was basically on every Friday you had to do a random act of kindness. Yes.
Buying it now.
But yes.
Oh, that's kind of a nice cult though, isn't it?
Yes, that's it. It wasn't a bad cult. No one killed each other, but that's why I wanted to do it as a first book review. That's why I sent you the link, Sam. I think it'll be a good starting point just because of how Nerdy Up North started.
Well, yeah. 1 second, there you go. Bought.
Right.
I did this the last time when I got really jealous over his camera, and he was like, "Look at my flashy camera," and I was like, "Oh, where'd you get that from?" And Amazon. I was like, "Boat."
Yes, so I think that could be a good starting point to get the new thing started next year. But like I said, going on to lead the things that we do, like I said, I've already mentioned it, the Nerdy Up North group is absolutely fundamental. It's absolutely hilarious. I'm going to have to start restricting a few people's memes because there's getting a lot of memes.
Yeah, the discussion points. The discussion points. I'm in another group who will strictly not allow memes. You are banned if you put a meme in there, because it does get a bit to the point where you're losing discussion points. Like Paul brings up these amazing discussion points, Charlotte, Donna, and then all of a sudden you've got a meme influx and it's lost.
Yeah,
it's lost within like these memes. So yeah, cut the memes out, guys. Go to Instagram.
Sorry, Kev.
Kev, I tell you what, we'll put a post up just for Kev every day. You can go in there and just update a new meme.
Yeah.
You know how the t-shirt one is still going since May? Have you seen that post?
The Nerdy Up North, not your favourite t-shirt, I think.
Your favourite t-shirt. Donna put up in May about your t-shirt. What t-shirt are you wearing today? And people still to this day are putting their t-shirts on. We'll have one for Kev for memes.
The one that Donna put up, post a selfie and we'll tell you what superhero. The one that got like over 1,000 comments. Still going.
Is that old or is that new?
It was about 3 months ago.
Few.
2
I
months.
probably put quite a few pictures up in there then because I thought it was
It's still going. Like I got a notification the other day that somebody had commented on it. Like somebody had commented on one of Donna's posts, and it was that one.
Donna, you popular girl.
But yes, like I say, we're on Instagram. Like I say, that's where the memes normally go. But I steal. Found out we're on Audible as well.
I'm so excited about that.
That is unreal.
Don't know how we got there, but I didn't upload anything or submit anything to Audible. But just
sorry to interrupt, but Leanne Faraday, who is a member of our group, who announced that she was in labour, has had her little girl.
Oh, congratulations, Leanne.
Winter Rose. There's a picture of her.
Gorgeous.
Just quickly, there she is.
Oh.
So yeah, she's just announced on the group. Oh, that's so adorable. See, this is what we're like. Big nerdy. Is it
the first Nerdy Up North baby?
Yes.
Is it the first Nerdy Up North baby?
I think so.
Possibly.
Oh.
I don't know.
I don't like Ben's. Ben's enough for me.
Wasn't there a wedding today as well?
Yeah, Jill got married.
Jill?
Jill Carmen, one of my good friends.
Ah, right.
Yes.
Jill.
Yeah, Jill.
Oh, right. Okay, congratulations, Jill. Sorry.
Yes. Like I say, this will be up on YouTube because it's been live, so it'll be up as soon as we finish posted. Again, I'll probably sort out iTunes and Spotify over the next few days. It's my wife's birthday tomorrow, so I'll not be doing much on the
You're
group,
not doing anything but being with your wife tomorrow. Just before we go, I'm going to say it again. I have thoroughly enjoyed tonight. Like, I really needed this. Thank you so much. I'm sorry if I had a bit of a twist last week. I'm all good now. I'm back to myself.
just hope Mckellen enjoyed the hangover. That's all I'm saying.
No, I've loved it. Thank you so much, and thank you for agreeing to do Harry Potter with us, because I loved it. Thanks.
Right, like I say, Charlotte is pretty much a permanent fixture on the podcast now.
I feel like I've been on it for like a month.
No, like I say, you're the most guest now. Well, not guest now. You're
honestly,
part of the team, so
not sick in the slightest. What is next week, by the way?
Spider-Man. We're doing
Spider-Man,
which I'll be going
to see it next Friday.
I'm going to book tickets.
I'll not be able to see it till Monday. So the Monday after, so I'll not be seeing it the weekend. So we won't be able to talk about the new one.
That's okay. That wasn't the point of it, was it?
Yeah.
We wanted to do the older Spider-Mans. So because not everyone's going to see it on Friday.
No. But we might do an episode after we've all seen it where we can all talk about it as well. Like I said, one off.
Like a Ghostbusters thing that we did, because that was. Oh yes, Simwell has just said that mandatory face coverings are in place now, which. Fine, whatever. Yep. I didn't care. I'm going to see it in view.
But there's a cheat for that. Just buy a drink and you're drinking, so you don't have to wear a mask. But I didn't say that.
Wear your mask, people. No, this has been fun. Next week is Spider-Man, but obviously, as Paul's just said, not doing the new one. This is just a lead up, and then we'll do a roundtable discussion of what is probably the most anticipated movie of the year. And I'm saying that as a Ghostbuster fan. It really is. So, and then we've also got, after Spider-Man, we have
top 5 Christmas movies.
Christmas time. And then we've got the end of the year. And also be on the lookout as of next week for the first ever Nerdy Up North Awards. Ooh. And I'm going to be putting the nominations out next week. Thanks to Charlotte, I now have book nominations, so thanks. May need your help on some other stuff too, but yes, they will be going up next week.
This roundup has got more endings than at Lord of the Rings at the moment.
Dick, honestly, you're absolutely not what you want to be. Just having to get things out. There's things going on. It's Christmas, Paul.
Yes.
End it.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Stay nerdy, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.